And we're live. This is a bit of an emergency live stream. It's not really emergency, but I have to stay home because I have some checkups tomorrow and I'm not supposed to go outside currently. So I might as well, spend some time with you guys. This is literally going to be watching the paint dry, similar to the previous video, but this time I hope to draw something a little bit more engaging than a simple snake on the ground. Oh, I forgot to turn off the speakers so we don't get anything. Hi, bad name. Hi, Silvio. Doing great here. A bit starved because I'm not supposed to eat anything today and I'm not supposed to drink anything except this strange liquid. So if I have to literally run out during the live stream, you guys will excuse me. Hi, Alex, and hi, George. Welcome everybody to watch the Paint Dry podcast. No podcast, sorry, live stream. I was supposed to, do the podcast today with them, but it got cancelled because we had a bit of a traffic collapse here in Belgrade. So today we will do this. It's not as good, but we're working with what we have, don't we? So I just have to post on the social media. Well, okay. This tripod um, isn't really the most stable of things, but I'm thinking of maybe if I turn the phone upside down. Okay, let me see if I can pause the live stream. One moment, please. Share, enable flash, mute microphone. Okay. So there's no option to actually. Hi, Alex. So there's no actually the option to pause the podcast, which is really interesting. There's this button, and I'm afraid to click it, but let's. Okay, so it's nothing. Okay, well, I have to hope that this not fall, but just a little moment. Excuse my form. Join me for the live stream now. Okay, adding the link. And there, all of the world's problems are cured. Excellent. Just as was my plan all along. I like that nostalgia critic joke when he was reviewing Patch Adams and he was parodying these uppity doctors who weren't really pro new and shocking ways of treating patients, and he said something along the lines of, first we're going to heal the patients and then the world and so on. So let me just post this on Reddit and we can start. Okay, age. By the way, if this falls or something, don't worry. We have the situation under control, which is something people who are not in the control tend to say. I can see what you guys are writing right now, but we will remedy the situation in a minute. Hi, Temsgen. Hi, Normie, the Great Evil. Hi, the Greek letters person. And hi, Michael. Doing great here. As I said, I have a couple of scopies tomorrow. Let's put those diagnostics in such a way. So I'm not supposed to eat anything today. So in order to get my mind of things, I will paint and talk with you. Okay, that's it. Okay. Thank you, Captain Crunch. And yeah, Saint Zoticus was really great. I loved it. Oh no, wait. Yeah, I noticed that we had something missing, and that is the lamp. But I used the the footing of the lamp. I needed it for this circle. I think this is this better. I think it is. Well, yeah, secular fasting, precisely. However, the good thing about this secular fast is that at least now I know that going on the entire day without food, not exactly drink, isn't all that difficult. So it is a good introduction for actually religious fasting. And gold water. Hey Boyan, what does the Bible say about portraying Jesus? I noticed that Protestants don't really do it, but Orthodox churches do it a lot. Take some advice from Sarajevo. Uh, it doesn't really say anything. I think that St. Paul says in one of his epistles something along the lines of for Christ our God is portrayed among, crucified among you. However, I sort of doubt that that was, like a actual physical depiction of our Lord, you know. So it doesn't really say anything. I mean, a lot of Protestants use like the second commandment, about not portraying God and everything, but that does not really apply because you cannot portray God because God does not have an actual appearance, and that is why it was forbidden. But Christ does have a physical appearance. I mean, as far as those Protestants go, let me put it this way: if you lived in the time of Jesus, would you snap a photo of him? And if you would, and you would you keep it as a would you cherish that as an important memento? And of course you would. So for me, that is the sort of the best answer. And also bear in mind that uh, Protestant Reformation coincided precisely when you got the printing press, when books got much easier to come by. I mean, of course, at the time of Protestant Reformation, they were still extremely expensive, but nowhere close as they were previously because they had to be handmade and usually ordered by a wealthy patron. So uh, all those icons in Orthodox churches served a very important purpose of helping the illiterate uh, see the message, usually when discussing icons, I think that far too often we forget about the illiterate of the 15th century, so we have to bear that in mind as well. Okay, I sort of overdid the fingers here. Usually when I draw Christ in the Old Testament, I usually depict him as an angel, and when I draw angels, I usually do them in a monochromatic way, so that is why I'm using blue to denote the hand of God. Here I'm painting Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, which is I have plans for you, not to hurt you, but to prosper you. Something along those lines. Uh, Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much. And hi, Eric. Eric is from Netherlands, and hi, Eric from Serbia. St. John the Baptist. Yeah, St. John the Baptist is really popular in Serbia, a lot of people have him as their Slava, which is a family patron saint. Um, Jacob Sparks, hey Boyan, what do you think about Albania? I don't think anything special about Albania, except that both them and us had the mutual misfortune to be each other's neighbors. And it is a sad state of the world that first door neighbors in the world tend not to be fans of each other. Again, it is sad, but it is what it is. Um, so no special opinion, you know. Um, just one of the neighbors that we don't really get along that well. Silvia, what about those preachers that probably belong to Protestantism? I don't know who you're referring to, Silvia. So, Earth, Earth Raider and the Jewish temple featured depictions of angels. This is very important. Yeah, that is true. And this is very important to mention, especially in the context of. Especially in the context that not only did the temple feature angels, it also had the cherubim on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant, and the mercy seat is the focal point of the entire worship in the Old Testament. So not only you have icons in the Old Testament, they're featured extremely prominently, and they're again extremely important. And they could depict angels in the temple because, again, angels sort of have some sort of form. It is interesting though that actually in the Bible you don't have you have angels depicted in visions, but when the Lord speaks to Moses on Mount Sinai and so on, you don't have they're not described. So the Lord essentially just tells Moses um, uh, that the artists who will make the temple will be inspired by the Holy Spirit. So those artists who have woven the curtains of the temple, who made the mercy seat, the Ark of the Covenant, and so on, they knew by the grace of the Holy Spirit what to do, which is again very might come very strange to Protestant ears, in the context that supposedly you were not supposed to have any sort of physical depiction and so on. So just adding a little bit of yellow here. Okay. Hi, Ella. Thank you so much for your prayers. Klodach Bob. Hi, Bojan. What were the earliest icons? From what I know, but don't quote me on that, the earliest icons most probably come from Euphorus house church, and there you had physical depictions of the Good Shepherd, and these were like undoubtedly Christian. So this is most probably the earliest depiction of Jesus Christ, and he's shown as an young beardless man. I don't know, and I think that also the Mother of God is also depicted in one of the frescoes. However, it is difficult to find early Christian iconography because they were so persecuted and so on. So we do not actually know the extent that iconography was used in early Christianity. I'm glad that you're learning something from the channel. Oh yeah, yeah. I love medieval Christian art. I mean, I think it's wonderful. Now let me paint this dark green. I hope that this has dried. Just one moment. It's also difficult to see, and I have to be that more careful here. My art teacher warned me not to use not to use single color, that or the color from the tube, as she would call it, when doing these watercolors, because she said that those colors tend not to look natural, so that I should mix them with at least something else when I paint. So I will do that, just that. I will add a little bit of brown. Okay. And maybe I'll add a shade or something later. Okay. Who saved Daniel in the furnace? Was it Jesus or Angel Gabriel? In the Ethiopian and the Eritrean Orthodox Church, it is Angel Gabriel, but some Coptic, to my knowledge, say it was Jesus. What about Eastern Orthodox? From what I know, we tend to see that it was Jesus, the pre-incarnate Christ, and that is what that is what um, King Nebuchadnezzar, but I don't know how you pronounce his name in English. It is a bit of a mouthful in Serbian as well. Says that the third person with the young man in the furnace looks like the son of gods. So we would see that as a theophany, appearance of God. Those street preachers, Sylvia. Well, I don't mind preachers per se, even though, yeah, they tend to be Protestants. But, if somebody shares their faith with Christ out in the open forum, I'm all for it. Why not? Even though that's not really popular in Serbia because we do tend to associate it with like American missionaries, and then people tend to see it as snatching away the Orthodox from their fold that shaped their Christian faith for, well, not exactly 1,000 years, but close to 1,000 years. We are getting to that thousand. Oh, I like this. I think I'll do this like this. Okay. What do you think about Roman Catholicism? Not much. I mean, I don't think that you guys should have included the filioque in the creed. Um, well, what can I say? This is a bit. A majority of Orthodox they do see it as heretical, but I like to see it from another point of view, and that is that it is what majority of people see Christianity as, and that us Orthodox should acknowledge that because I mean, quite recently I was basically opposing in this group that a bunch of young Orthodox converts who wanted to destroy an image of the Sacred Heart. And I simply told them not to do it because I don't agree with that at all. I mean, just because they do not agree with the devotion of the Sacred Heart, it is still, it is still, I believe, a holy image. So. Hi Darius, nice to have you here. Hi Vasily. Oh yeah, there's also a bunch. Oh, thank you, all. You're spoiling me. Well, Mike, I know that you're not online watching videos, and that is a good thing because if you're um, if you're at work, you should definitely, do work and not watch super fun videos with your favorite creators that will never get repeated ever again. Yeah, Andre, I'm using watercolors. I got into them recently and I love them so much. They're great fun. Super great fun. This is actually the remnant, as it were, of my iconography class because my iconography group fell apart, and I asked the teacher, well, because now because there's no lot of people doing icons, that is only I remained. Can you give me like general painting classes, and we can simply work from there? And she was like, sure, why not? And it is great because it gave me the opportunity to actually attempt other media with which I wasn't really proficient with. And watercolors is one such medium. And before this, I practically did exclusively in watercolors. But now I have some knowledge of like pigments, of oh, this effect is, I really like this effect. I have some knowledge of pigments, of tempera, of watercolors. Oh, I just had an idea how to draw clouds. But before we do that, maybe we should make a little bit of an evening scene. Oh, yes, this should do nicely. JP, hello, Boyan, I love your media. I was wondering how would you feel about Orthodox and Catholicism being united again? It would be an answer to some of my prayers. I mean, I would love it personally, but to be quite honest, I don't see it happening. I think that uh, while we do have like uh, 1,000 year of common heritage, we also have 1,000 year of uncommon heritage. And that is a bit of an issue right now. So I do think that we should talk and so on, have a dialogue and everything, but in general, not really an optimist when it comes to actual reunification. Then again, all things are possible with God. So just based on that, I don't think that we should abstain from further dialogue. I have to like emphasize this a little bit. It's too dark. I clearly used my hand for the model because it's sort of chubby. So my apologies in advance to Christ our God for making the uh, uh, to making so for making his hand chubby. But that's the only pair of hand I currently have. And yes, I made them chubby, not Christ our God. But when when I get thinner, if I ever do, the hand of God in my drawings will as well. I must say that this is turning out way, way better than I thought it would, because this was a very unfamiliar territory, and I'm basically doing in front of live studio audience. Hi, Tangerine, nice to having you here. We actually have quite a lot of people here, so. But how are all sects of Eastern Orthodoxy Christianity differ from each other? Well, we don't really have other sects. We have like particular churches, but their differences are really minuscule. Like, you have differences between between Greek and the Russian vestments. For example, the Russian Orthodox Phelonion, which is the outer cloak the priest wears for the liturgy, has this spiked top at the back. At the back, it's not really a difference that I would even emphasize. I mean, then Kamilovkas, like those hats that priests wear, they're sort of inverted cone in Russian Orthodoxy, and they're like black. Black. Oh man, what's this shape, by the way? that glasses have. I forgot in English. Anyway, those are the biggest differences. Marcia. Ah, yeah, Bob Ross of Serbia. Without the backstory or anything. Just yeah, that's true. Especially because now I really like painting the landscapes and everything. And I'm sort of, trying to. Oh, I have another idea. What if we did something along the lines of this? Not too shabby. You know, I sort of regret. I sort of regret I didn't use this for Janice's drawing, there's this in one of my previous live streams, I think it was here on the I think it was here on this channel, so it wasn't on the Bible Illustrated Hands, where I drew the creation of the firmament. And when I'm watching this, I'm like, man, I should have used this one for that verse, but oh well. I'll just add a pinch of green to the nails and see how it goes. So we can make Christ into a literal green thumb. But let's just make it. I think we'll see when it dries. So Lucas dos Santos, when are you going to paint the icon of Saint Dulce of the Poor that I asked you some time ago? Very soon. It simply has to do with how I do my patron drawings. So, but it will be very soon, within a month. By the way, because I planned actually to paint it with watercolors, let me know if this format is good for you. So this is my hand for comparison, because I think that the watercolors will look really pretty in that one. So just let me know. Vulpes. Oh, sorry, I lost. Yeah, pamphlets. Yeah, yeah, especially that. It's a combination of factors. Oh yeah, Javier. I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah. I told a friend. I told a friend of mine today that the worst kind of people are people who get chatty with people during like business hours, when people can't really escape. So, yeah, bus preachers, that would be very, very annoying. Yes. So we have a river here. However, Philippines is primarily, I mean, a Christian country. It's interesting that you guys have like bus preachers. Times again, if Christianity never existed, would Judaism be the correct religion? Yes. But Christianity does exist, so. Master Eagle, although I'm a Protestant, I do enjoy your channel. Thank you so much. Matthew. Hello, Boyan from Northern Virginia, United States, where unfortunately only a few Orthodox churches exist. I wish I lived in an Orthodox Christian country like you. It comes with its ups and downs. The thing is, if you're a minority of a religion in a different country, people tend to be more religious and not have certain temptations that are endemic to Orthodox countries. So, for example, you would wish to live here, I would wish to live in the US, for example, because I'm not really a fan of how things are done here. But then again, grass is always greener on the other side of the crystal ball. So, Christian Fredrickson, hello, Boyan, your videos are great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What are your opinions that 2020 was a hard year and that the end is near? It's not that hard, guys. I mean, okay, Corona is bad, but thing is, it's really not the worst that we had like ever. By the way, I will just check how to paint a forest real quick because I need to put a forest in the ball. Well, okay, it didn't fall. Okay. Forest watercolors. Yes, that is how I actually draw. Okay, these are too advanced. Yeah, no chance in Hades of me ever doing anything like this in soon time. But but why not watch a work get destroyed live? Then I can just claim that I'm actually a Zen Buddhist and I'm intentionally destroying this because it looked so pretty previously. Marcia, do you follow 10-minute Bible hour? The guy there does different churches and talks with the priests in a respectful. I don't. I haven't subscribed, even though I should and I will. I've seen the Orthodox. I've seen the Orthodox. Episode, and I think a large bit of the Catholic one. He's great. He's really great. So I support the guy. Joel Lincoln, any advice for people hooked on porn, masturbation, alcohol, or drugs? As a fat guy, I'm clearly addicted to a lot of things. So I really would avoid. I generally avoid, giving advice on how to quit different problematic things. If you have an idea, please let me know as well. Okay, I think we can sort of go with this. Let's see. The pine canopy from the deleted video. Mary, OMG, you're a lefty. No, I'm not really that political, so. Does this look like a pine to you, or just like a weird wigwam that's been left in the prairie? Ward the Confessor, what's more likely to happen, the unification of the churches or the second coming? The second coming. But, when the Antichrist comes, I think that there will be some sort of false unity in the Antichrist, and also some honest unity of true Christians when the Antichrist starts to reign. That's just my opinion, though. Lucas Del Santos, hey Boyan, I'd like to know what do you think about trans people? This is a bit difficult to answer. I think I do think that these people have an actual issue in the sense that in sense of I don't think it is only a trend. I mean, it's definitely a trend. I think that there is a lot of people who are generally unhappy with themselves and sort of blow things out of proportion, and they sort of find some sort of community in the trans movement. However, as for the truly trans people, not I can't say that I approve of the of like them adopting a different gender. It seems off to me somehow. I mean, however, it is a complicated issue because it requires, I would say, a lot of knowledge in psychiatry. But then again, even psychiatry is prone to prone to how shall I put it? Uh, to whims of the time, to trends and everything. This is something that I will have to discuss. I have a good friend and he's psychologist, but I never really discussed that issue with him. So I'll have to ask him what my opinion of this is, because he's a devout Orthodox and I trust his. Oh, this looks pretty. So I trust his. I would trust his take on that, but other than that, no specific opinion. So. Ella White, Boyan, are you excited for the Pentecost? Yes, it is one of my favorite feasts, and uh, as a lot of you probably know, in the Orthodox Church we have these long prayers called acatists, which are usually dedicated to a saint, a feast day, and I have a beautiful version of the acatist to the Holy Spirit, which is in honor of the Pentecost, and I simply love it. So. Ah, yeah, cylinder. Thank you, Jesus Ekana. Yeah. So, about this, I think that the question might have been regarding different Orthodox sects, about Eastern Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, Assyrians, Eastern Catholics. Yeah. Well, Eastern Catholics, in my opinion, are simply Catholics with the Eastern Rite, even though a lot of them would disagree and claim that they simply see the Pope um, in the same way Orthodox saw him for the first millennium, sorry. As Oriental Orthodox and the Syrian, I don't know much about the Syrians, to be quite honest. Um, their churches are an interesting mix of what I would see as a Catholic church and pretty much iconoclastic Orthodox church. I mean, they do have like icons, but they're like very few and far between. Hi, Jovan. Nice. Boyan, are there such things as satanic musical instruments? I started learning the violin is a few months ago and saw a lot of connections of the violin to Satan. Should I switch? No, 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 no. Don't switch. There's there's basically nothing on this earth that's inherently satanic. Don't switch. I have no idea. I don't really know where that connection uh, to Satanism began, to Satan, and not it's not even Satanism, but really Satan and the violin. Actually, and there's I think that in the original version it's actually Death who's playing the violin. So I mean, okay, it's still sort of macabre, but not as having literal Satan doing it. So. Okay, I'm sort of slowing these things down because Ryan, I have been awake for 28 hours already playing video games. Go to sleep. Malo the Plumba. Melio the Plumba. I did not expect these live streams to be so entertaining. Well, I'm glad that you find them entertaining. So, a touch of red here. When in doubt, adopt a funny accent. Thank God that I come prepackaged with it. So I sound like a Russian general from American movie. You know, when you hear like Americans doing French English accent and German accent in English, and then you hear actual French and German people, and they do actually sound like that parody accent, and then you're like, well, I probably do sound like a general. Oh, Milos, you're not the worst kind of people. You're bad kind of people. What do I think about Jehovah's Witnesses and their door-to-door ministry? Also, is Jehovah's Witnesses a Christian? I would say that they're a Christian, but I would say that they're very not what you should expect of a typical Christian, you know? Um, After all, oh, just one moment, please. Okay, I had to um, uh, I had to see if I was actually attached to my Wi-Fi, or I was spending network data, which would prove very expensive. Let's add another pine tree. Pine trees are great. One of the Lord's better creations, if you ask me. And a touch of brown. Do you guys think that God had fun while he was making the world? I mean, if painting is this fun, imagine like how fun it was for God. I mean, as much as a being that is outside of time can have concept of fun, um, actually creating DNAs and molecules and quarks and such things. Anyway, Jehovah's Witnesses. I wouldn't say that they're your typical next door Christian kind of type. And as far as their door-to-door ministry, I don't know. I think it is especially misplaced in today's cities where people really value their privacy. Maybe it would have been better earlier on when people were much more open about people visiting. Today, I think it is a bit misplaced. Some Rastafari people were saying that 2020 is the end of the world because in Ethiopic calendar this year is 220. Okay, so you have actually the combination of Ethiopian and Mayan calendars. Imperial Russian Empire. Okay. Hi, J. Berg. Aloha. Uh, Roll. Have you watched the channel Orthodox Review? Yes, I do. The guy is my friend on Facebook. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I know that she meant left-handed. I was playing coy on purpose, so never underestimate the troll potential of this channel. Oh, nice. Hi, Tak. Yeah, I know about that song. I mean, I think violin is a pretty recent instrument when it comes to the age of the world. So I sort of doubt that if Satan never played violin, that he played it like before this material world was made. So okay. Well, so far so good. I'm sort of torn on the background. I don't think I should do it because then it would sort of cover the. But let's try with a little red, shall we? Ah, okay. The tripod got red now. So a little bit of a withered Freddy. Should the first confession be to a younger or to an older priest? I mean, older priests have a bit more experience, so but then again, the younger priests sort of have more zeal, because they haven't been exposed to a lot of horrid things that sadly older priests tend to be exposed. So I would say whichever, you know, the Lord will guide both. So I wouldn't be that worried. Don't try to have the perfect confession. Nothing in this world is perfect. Silvio, is it possible to serve in the military as a true Christian? I heard of one Roman soldier who was a saint in 4th century, I think. One. Saint George, Saint Demetrius, Saint Theodore of Tyro, Saint Theodore the Stratylate, Saint Menas. Uh, there are so many military Orthodox and Catholic saints, so many. Saint Expeditus, Saint, oh man. I mean, there's a bunch. So yeah, I think you can be in the military and be true to your Christian call. Dr. Respect, you're great at drawing. Thank you so much. Because if I weren't great at drawing, then I would ask for a refund from my painting teacher. Imperial Russian Empire. Do you think dinosaurs existed? I think that they did. Oh yeah, devil couldn't create music. Yeah, that's true. My spiritual father, Father Dmitri, kept emphasizing that over and over again. Devil can never create anything. He can only destroy what is beautiful and pervert. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. Pardon my François. Man, why didn't I know about the watercolors earlier? These are so fun. Roll. Are there mods here? Yes. Me. I basically didn't have to use mods at all so far. If things ever get too problematic, I probably would get them, but so far, you guys have been nothing but nice. I mean, there were a couple of weird people. They were probably high at the time when they were writing things, but other than that, you guys are peachy. And then again, I'm trying not to get full Bojan. So, Dr. Respect, is the American politics satanic? Yes, it is, as every politics in every country. Simas, any tips for new artists? I have been relearning the fundamentals recently. Well, Simas, honestly, I don't know the fundamentals. A bunch of what I'm doing is basically self-taught, and I have been only attending art classes for a year. So majority of what I do create is basically me with some supervision from my teacher, and she's great. There's a channel called it's not Near Death Studios. It's oh man, it's Rebecca. What's her channel name? Rebecca Farnham, I think. Farnham. So let me check what her name. Let Me Explain Studios. Oh man, she has nearly 3 million subscribers. Anyway, she has this great video where she shows her old drawings and paintings, and she mentions her art teacher, who said there are 10,000 bad drawings and paintings within you. The faster you get them out, the better. And that is true. Simply paint, draw, paint, draw, paint, sketch, whatever, model, whatever sort of art you're practice music and so on, you will get better. I mean, let me try to find real quick some of my earlier works. One moment, please. It is okay. By the way, these are my earlier works that I'm still sort of happy with, but they're not that good, you know? I mean, honestly, it's just a lot of color here, and that is why it may trick people that this is good, but it's really not that good. So, trying to find a couple of more. I mean, this one. Again, these really aren't the worst that I have. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you guys asked me what I think of the trans people. Well, there's this bodybuilder Eve. Oh man, this is bad. So yeah, simply keep at it. That is the best. And of course, if you actually watch tutorials, if you attend art classes and so on, you will get much better, much faster than I have, because I was like, I don't need no stupid classes or tutorials or people telling me. I can do it myself. And no, I can't. I mean, you will get better by the practice itself, but it can cement some of your mistakes. So be careful. So yeah, those are my tips. Hi, some guy. Welcome. Yeah, ants and anteaters. I love that. Yeah, well, Celestine, yeah, I would assume that like the evangelical types would get sort of anti-Harry Potterish. But again, my spiritual father, for example, was a huge fan of Harry Potter. Huge, huge, huge. He would like find all of these interesting Christian parallels in the Harry Potter universe, like these Christian prototypes, archetypes, and everything. So. Oh, you're moving to St. Petersburg. It's such a beautiful city. I haven't attended yet, but I plan to attend eventually. So, why do I hate Quadrano so much? He wanted peace between Christian nations. Um, this I could talk an hour about this, but in short, I really hate when Christianity is mixed with any sort of power, as it were, with any sort of imposition. And Quadrano is such a good example that it's nice that he wanted peace between Christian nations, but we should want peace with all of nations, not just Christian ones. So, I mean, it's not really a value that that's really that difficult to subscribe to. So, will I put some happy little clouds? Yes. Yeah, I'm actually very glad that I got that reference. Oh, no, 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 no. I have happy little mistakes. By the way, sometimes mistakes can improve your artwork in so many ways. So, when do you think the world will end? Before the end of this, before the end of this live stream. So, for every $5 you guys donate, I will prolong the world for 15 minutes. Okay? Start pledging, or I am clicking the X on the world. Okay, I don't know when it will end. I have no idea. Currently I don't think it will end soon. But then again, I might be proven wrong within a minute. So, and if I am, God forgive me all my sins and save all the people I love and hate. Celestine Hale, I think calling things like book series about fantastical magic and musical genre satanic is more superstitious than anything else. Yes, let me tell you one thing. Before I became a Christian, shortly, I was into magic for about 2 weeks. Magic never did anything resembling anything from fantasy. Nothing. So people who claim that Harry Potter will turn people to magic clearly haven't done magic, because it does zilch, and when it does something, if it does, it never did anything for me, thank God. Um, uh, People tend, in my experience, and from my and I'm saying my personal experience, people get into magic because they like the sense of power, because they want to be special, want to have supernatural power, and when you think about it, that is a pretty satanic approach to things. I mean, why have supernatural flimsy powers when you can have a YouTube channel? Okay. I know a retired priest who said that the only thing that was never confessed to him was cannibalism. Yeah. Priests, sadly, hear really not fun stuff in the confessional. As Jean Vianney, the curé of Ars, or Cure d'Ars, said, I never knew evil until I started confessing people. Or I learned of evil in the confessional, and that is true. The things priests hear in the confessional. People usually say that confessions shouldn't be divulged, because it's still a confession. Yeah, but you know, part of it is you really don't want evil to spread outside of the confessional. So, uh, so just okay. Uh, yeah. So some interesting. We have some interesting violin trivia and the devil in the chat. So. Oh, hi Q Min. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, because it is sort of a recurring motive here that I mispronounce people's names, and I apologize so much for that. It's not out of disrespect, it's just that there are so many languages, and I hope to get better eventually, so. I mean, if you guys love Cordano, okay, fine, love him, but I'm just not pro canonizing the guy. Oh, I'm glad that you like them so much, Camper Crunch. I'm just not really that satisfied with the river. It doesn't look very rivery to me. Oh, I have an idea. What if we do something like this, as Isma would say? Okay, that didn't do it. Now something like this. Okay, it looks a little bit more rivery now, I think. Oh, but yeah, I haven't done this, so. Oh, maybe if like the river was dripping. So it turns out that Earth is simultaneously a half sphere and flat. It's more interactive like this. What I think of srpska akcija? Nothing good. Yeah, Eve is a lot of butch, but I drawn her recently. I did an older drawing, and she looked much better. Tomfoolery. Boyan, are there any instances of an icon painted on the outside of a building and being considered usable? Actually, yes. I have seen pictures of Romanian monasteries that are completely painted on the outside. It looks quite beautiful, but I would assume that people wouldn't really paint them there because they would get destroyed by rains very early. Shemas, yes, I assumed it was Shemas, but you know. Oh yeah, that Eve would snap that snake's neck. Some guy, could an Eastern Orthodox person use Oriental Orthodox prayers? You should double check that with the priest because there was this huge controversy with the Oriental Orthodox back in the day when they were singing the Trisagion, the Thrice Holy, Holy God, Holy Mighty, Holy Immortal and Crucified, or Holy Crucified and Immortal. And man, the Eastern Orthodox would not have it. So, and you know, as a layperson, you're like, okay, fine, I'll read it, but then wham, no, you can't use that. So, you know, just double check it because maybe some Christology that we do not subscribe to creeps in. So, you know. Do you follow the watercolor illustrator Mateusz Urbanovic? Let me check him. I'll follow him instantly. I do hope that he has a YouTube channel, and if not, I'll follow him on Instagram, Twitter, and other social media. Oh, he does have. Okay, subscribed. Oh man, I wish I could reach his level. Soon, Mateusz, and you will learn of Bible Illustrated. I would love to live somewhere with a lot of trees. What would you do if I donated $500? I would agree with everything you say. Everything. Codriano Saint, sure. Ecumenism bad, sure. Ecumenism good, okay. Anything you say. Just kidding, nothing. What would I do if you donated $500? 500 divided by 25 is 4 times 5 is 20. You would get 20 drawings from me. You know, you would be listed as a donor. So, and access to my Discord and a thank you note. So, like, typical patron approach. Haley, if you don't mind me asking, how has the virus affected you spiritually and your daily life? I'm afraid that I'm turning into a zombie. But I cannot tell to people in my home that I have been bitten. But you guys know my dark side. Actually, spiritually, I got to pray more, you know. Actually, Bishop Robert Barron has some great meditations on the coronavirus and everything. And, you know, in short, virus, despite churches being closed, the virus is a great opportunity for us to ramp up our spiritual lives. It has helped me a lot because I'm so busy during the regular times, as I'm right now, that sadly I don't get to pray a lot. I mean, I do pray along the way and such, but not really nowhere as close as I would like. Because at least for me, I think that the prayer that you have one-on-one on Lord, that's not along the way, that's not in the background. When prayer is not simply a background process, a process to something else. I think that's really important, and I think that the virus gives great opportunity for that. Spiritually, again, I just had more opportunity to pray, and for that I'm very thankful. Um, I I sort of did have the opportunity to attend church because I'm a reader. So for me, the effect was primarily a positive one, but I do feel for everyone who's not really, you know. What do you think, the respect, what do you think about other religions such as Islam, Buddhism, and all of these so-called pagan religions? Well, they have their pieces and shreds of truth within them, but in the end, only Christ is the fullness of truth and in whom we find our salvation. So I don't think anything. Islam was a great unifying force. I do like Buddhist ethics. Pagan religions, not a fan to be quite honest. I do sort of like Zoroastrianism, if that's how you pronounce it. But that's it. So not. Is Christmas Jesus' real birthday? Lots of people said it's actually around summer. It doesn't really matter when it was, you know. During Christmas, we simply celebrate his birth. And Saint John Chrysostom, if I'm not mistaken, sort of said that you can deduce the date of the birth of Christ by sort of these hints in the gospel, as in, like, for example, when Saint John was conceived, and so on and so forth. Um, I don't think it really matters if it was exactly December the 25th, you know. I mean, we celebrate the most important feast, the Feast of Feasts, on a movable calendar. Like, we don't have a fixed date. So, some happy little flowers. I would want to add some happy clouds, but I'm worried how they will turn out. Maybe even a happy planet. Oh, yes, I will add a happy planet too. Oh man, we have been here for an hour. Times again. What if a person goes to confession right before they die and they're genuine, but the priest denies the confession because they can do that? Would that person go to heaven? Yes, and the priest would go to hell for that. I mean, like, God forbid a person is in such a horrible position. Fortune, can you speak Serbian to us for a second? Mogu, nije problem nikakav. Evo sada pričam srpski. Ja znam da me većina vas ne razume, ali evo Jovan koji je sa nama ovde u chatu, on nas itekako razume i meni je užasno drago što ste svi ovde. Veliki pozdrav za moju drugaricu Gillian, koja je takođe s nama u chatu i ona je trenutno u Rumuniji. A uskoro se, nadam se, bit će i u Srbiji, pa ćemo da pijemo kafu. There you have it, some Serbian for you. So this will be a happy planet. Even though I do not know what planet that would be, this bright red, maybe Mars, but it's sort of very close to this Earth. But maybe we can add some happy moons around this Mars of ours. Why were you so critical of Saint Basil the New in the past? I'll be quite honest, I'm not really assured of his existence because some elements, for example, it's a very long and complicated story, but the thing is, you have these two visions in his life which are very detailed, the Toll Houses and the Last Judgment. So basically, for the first time in church history, you have someone actually witnessing the Last Judgment of Christ, and it is described in minute detail. And And then you have like some basic historical errors in the sole version of his life that we have. I personally believe that Basil the New is an invention, that he's simply a story element that's used to give legitimacy to these visions. That does not mean that the visions aren't true. I just want to emphasize that they might be true. I'm not really pro them, as you know, but I'm not really sure of his existence. Celestine Hill, when I'm considering learning Serbian, I speak English and French already. Do you think it's an easy or hard language for Anglophone, Francophone people to learn? I think it is extremely difficult, and you will learn. You will see how difficult it is. That is because we have cases. Cases are basically how the word changes depending on how it's used in what function it has in a sentence. For example, take my name, Bojan. So in nominative, it's Bojan. In genitive, it's Bojana, from Bojan. In dative, it is Bojanu, to Bojan. In accusative, with Bojan, sa Bojanom, so it's Bojanom. Instrumental, Bojana. I use Bojana. So it's not like in English, I use Bojan. No, it's I use Bojana. In locative, Bojanu. It was on Bojan. It was on Bojanu. And you have so many variants of them. You have 7 of these cases and you have to know the gender of every noun in order to in order to in order to apply these, and even that's not coming close to exceptions and everything. It's extremely difficult. So I'm the sole remnant of cases in English is to whom. So that's the only word that sort of changes depending on how it's used, and that's the sole remnant. So Sonic Peterson plays with Roman Catholic cars and only drives them slow. By the way, Michaela Peterson came to Belgrade recently, and a friend of mine, he contacts her often on Instagram, and he showed me a story. That's Luca Chobrillo. That's the guy who composed the main theme for my channel. So, by the way, let me check how much battery do I have. 31%. Very good. Can Greek Serbian Orthodox pray to Russian Orthodox saints? I love Tsar Nicholas II. I believe he should be canonized, but he is canonized. He was canonized like 15 years ago at least. You can pray to them. I mean, I pray to Saint Seraphim of Sarov all of time. I like Saint Zini of Petersburg. Actually, when I check the saints, I don't really pray to any Serbian saints except, for example, Saint Sava, and okay, I pray to Saint Nikola Velimirovic. I pray to Saint Simeon of Daiba. Okay, I pray to Serbian saints. But there's no nationality in Christ. Actually, yeah, field tripping to Romanian monasteries, we just might do that. I will offer them to the Council of the Church Mouse Chronicles. Jesus Ekana, how common is in the Orthodox countries to have public celebration of Vespers and the other offices? If in Catholic churches, at least in the US, it's very rare for them to be sung except in Lent. In Serbian, in Orthodox churches, majority of it is sung. So, for example, every typical Matins and Vesper service I've ever been to, practically all of it was sung, all of it, nearly without exception. So, and oh yeah, Jillian, yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but maybe Jillian will start a Monastery Tours YouTube channel. Jillian, do it. Do it. Yeah, thing is, I don't want to have too many people on Discord, and that is why it is patrons only. Because if there are too many people, that would require moderation, and I have known that YouTubers in general had a lot of issues with their Discord communities. Sometimes, and by sometimes I mean all of the times, it is better not to have a huge Discord, and that is why it's paying people exclusive. uh, I sort of dislike the concept of having community around me. We're in this through Christ, not through me. So somebody asked, "What do you think of Jay Dyer?" As I said, I'm not a huge fan of his work, but I know that he does a lot of good. And if that's your thing, go for it. So I mean, it's just I'm not a fan of Alex Jones and such people, and Dyer's work is clearly influenced by it. So it's just different personalities in the end. Silvio, any way to mail stuff to you? Well, yeah, just send me an email. You have it in my about section on my profile. There's an email. Send me an email, and I'll send you the address. But uh, don't um, uh, don't uh, don't get overboard with that because oh man, I sort of lost the thread. Oh, I lost the thread of the conversation now. Okay, let's go on. Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. True. Are microchips going to be the mark of the beast? Are we going to be forced to take them? I don't know. I mean, it sort of seems indicative right now, but who knows? We don't know. Yeah, well, I sound the same because I speak English a lot. So, by the way, I need to know. Okay, Mars hasn't dried. I have to drink my disgusting medicine. Yes. Oh, yeah. What are my thoughts on Masoneria, the Illuminati, and other such conspiracies? Well, I don't think they're Christian. So even if they're like not true at all, like if all of the conspiracies regarding them are completely false, those brotherhoods and organizations are not Christians, and Christians should stay far away from them as possible. So, what do you think of Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons? Actually, I have um, answered these questions on Bible Illustrated Hands channel. So, hi, Jofke. Nice to see you again. Why were czars considered saints when their actions suggested otherwise? And what saintly expectations did they fulfill? Well, in short, they did great things for the church. They protected it, they spread its influence. So, do I have favorite language besides English or Slavic languages? I like German, I like French. Oh, Icelandic is beautiful. I love it. Hi, Horsas. Nice having you here. Oh, a radio control car. I know, I was being coy, so. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it's not exactly a Roman Catholic car, so. Silvio, I do not know which patron saint is mine. Could you help me choose? Again, this is something I put on my other channel, Babel Illustrated Hands. But there are saints that you like. You can choose one that you like. You can choose the saint that is celebrated on the day of your birth, baptism, chrismation, that is confirmation. You can choose a saint that bears the same name as you, that's really popular in your area, you know. So there are, read the lives of the saints, and if one clicks with you, wait for a couple of months, and if he or she is still clicking with you, go for it. And then again, I lost my... Ali Egbert, how is the Montenegrin anti-church laws going? Poorly. They recently arrested a very good bishop because he was doing procession during the corona outbreak, but it's clearly not about the Rona. I mean, it's simply being used as a farce to get the guy arrested. So I really have no idea what the church authorities in the Montenegro were thinking when they were doing it. I have no idea. And I'm glad that people have stood up in regards to that. So thank God. Oh yeah, Mike, let me know when you're coming here. Yeah, those monasteries are beautiful. Žiča, Studenica, Gradac. Actually, you know, okay, that's not how we would spell them, but you clearly know how to pronounce them, so that is why you spell them the way you did. Is it heretic for people to name their kid Jesus like Spanish people? I don't think it's heretic, but in Serbian we have a name Hristo, which is basically Christ, so I don't know. Boyan, you say that Saint John Vianney is your favorite Catholic saint. I like him a lot. What do you think about mine, Mother Hildegard of Bingen? I don't know much about her. I know that she had these weird visions with, and that there are some beautiful illuminated manuscripts of her visions, but that's all I know about her. So, Nicola, you can always steal it. Is it okay not to have a patron saint? I mean, you can not have one, but why wouldn't you? You're missing out on a friend in heaven. So, can Serbs comprehend Croatian? Yes, like 99.999% of it. So much that I do consider them basically the same language, except like a sort of different dialect. So. Oh, Temesgen, then I'm even more glad to pronounce your name. Thank you, God. Now let's see how to add these fluffy happy clouds. We'll see how this white color works. Oh, white. The eternal problematic color in every palette that's not tempera. I don't know about you, but that does not look like a cloud. Nope, not cloudy. White, you and I simply don't get along. And that will be our undoing. You're my arch nemesis in everything I have ever seen you in. Well, okay, it doesn't look that bad now, but yeah, Temesgen. Yeah, it's one of those things that you simply need to practice, so it gets better over time. What? Oh yes, yes, with a little red, it will look more cloudy. Oh, okay. That that looks like a cloud a bit, I think. A bit, not too much, but somewhat. Why are you so weak? It's interesting, like white tempera devours everything, but white watercolor, it's a wasted space on the palette, practically. Okay, it looks cloudy. It actually pretty much looks like a cloud. Okay, I'm happy. Thank you, white. What do I think of icons? Should you pray to them? You don't pray to icons. You pray to people on icons. Haley, how did you get into drawing and painting? Um, I simply, ever since I was a kid, I simply would like to draw a lot. That's all there is to it. Literally, nothing else. Okay, doing cloud number 9. Again, similar issues as with previous. Mistake number 11. Maybe if I add a little tornado. What's up with me and tornadoes? If I was baptized a Lutheran, must I be baptized to be Orthodox? It really depends on the bishop where you're being received in the church. At least in the West, majority of bishops would accept you simply by chrismation, so they wouldn't rebaptize you. But you might have an occasional bishop who will insist on you being rebaptized, but that's generally rare. Okay, I'm having like an idea. It's maybe a tad risky, but let's go for it. Power Rangers go! Like to add a little bit of blue here, so as to make the whole thing tad more sphery. Oh, sorry, I nearly knocked all over my phone. Okay. Boyan, my favorite travel destination. It's Latibor. It is a mountain here in Serbia. And I associate my most cherished childhood memories with it. So I love going there. And I think it's quite beautiful. Not exactly Rocky Mountains, USA, but close enough for beauty. Sadly, it's being destroyed by illegal construction works as we speak. I'm very sad about it, but There is nothing I can do to prevent the princess of this world. Literally nothing. Do you guys think that I should? I think that this middle part is sort of needs more pine trees. And also here, like ordinary trees, like birches. Just getting lazy. You know, maybe I could add like a mountain range, but thing is I don't have a black here, so no gray, so we'll see what we will do. A touch of brown. Well, in Christianity, it's simply Sunday because Christ has arisen on Sunday and not on Saturday. And as we say, Christ's resurrection is a miracle greater than the creation of the world. Okay, so we have that. I just need to emphasize them. No. Here's me going overboard again. No. Why must everything I touch turn to ash? Okay. Let's just do this. I'm a cheat, what can I say? As for Allah, used in the by Christians, I've heard that it's actually being used, so I don't know. I'm not proficient in like the language, so I can comment on it. A touch of yellow here. Oh, I have an idea. Maybe a little brown here. In the underground, the Unterwelt. Okay. Okay. I think this is okay. Maybe this part could use like a mountain or two, but I don't know how to. We'll see. Hvala, Silvio. Thank you so much. The Orthodox reckons validity of pouring baptism. I got mixed answer on this. Well, I was baptized by sprinkling in the Orthodox Church, so you know. Who used the title Pope First, Coptic or Roman Catholic? Many people say it's Coptic. Well, possibly. I don't know. have to wait for this to dry a little bit. However, I just noticed that I forgot to add the tree trunks on these trees here. No. Ruined forever. Okay, much better now. By the way, this brown is too bright and it looks like the forest is on fire. So I have to remedy this situation. The color is not right here. Okay. Well, guys, that would be it. I'm glad we have been here for an hour and a half. Thank you so much for joining today, and thank you for keeping the conversation clean and not passionate or anything. So I hope to see you guys in the next live stream. Okay, have you heard about the new church with Stalin in it? I haven't. It's in hell. I'm sorry, Soren. I'm sorry. But we will have these, don't worry. Probably more often on the second channel. I'll just wait for this to dry, maybe improve it on the mountain a little bit, and then I'll upload it on the main blog. Bye, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the future live streams. Bye.